It's 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. You just got home from school. You whip up a quick snack and let the weekend prevail. You turn on the tube to hear you are watching Disney Channel to reminisce of being that age again, where times were much simpler. Although time, although sometimes the movies were so bad, it is what made them so good. Today we kick back and relax as we break down our top 5 Disney Channel movies of all time. This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to Just for Flicks. What's going on, guys? It is Patty B. It is your host. With me today, as always, my co-host, my main confidant, my main man, Mr. B-Dog, Mr. Brandon. Let's go.
It's going good. We are going into Hallmark movies for teenagers. So this list was just really weird for me. But
Hallmark movies for teenagers.
It was. And where are most of these actors now? In Hallmark movies. So
oh my god. That is like the most perfect analogy for these movies. Like that's
gonna be the name
that's
of the
what I should have said in the monologue. Like I could have just said welcome to Hallmark movies for teenagers.
It's literally gonna be the title of our episode, Hallmark for Teenagers.
I like that.
But as always, we are joined by a guest, and I am so proud to bring this guest to the podcast. She is like my sister. You know her as Angelina on the Common Talkers team. How are you doing, Angelina?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. And I do, appreciate the teenage, era that you said it's a Hallmark, I do
really hits
I
home.
did consider myself a teenager at heart, a kid at heart. And I was raising kids during the era of Disney Channel movies when they came on. So this is a perfect topic for me. So thank you for having me on.
Not a problem.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so how we're gonna do this, we're gonna go over our top 5 Disney Channel movies or Hallmark for teenagers. Anyway, but what we're gonna do is usually we allow our guest to go first, but she has requested one of us go first. So I'm gonna be going first. Then it will be Angelina. Then it will be Patrick. We're going to go 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, all the way down to number ones. We will go into honorable mentions. Remember, these are our personal list, fans. These are not an overall list. So please let us know what teenage movies you loved from Disney Channel. And not only that, is Hallmark better than Disney Channel? Or is Disney Channel better than Hallmark? We want to know.
For teenagers.
For teenagers. Hallmark for teenagers. It's sad because I was watching some Christmas Hallmark movies the other day and literally thought, hey, that's that person from Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. Or, hey, that's from Halloween Town. It's fun to see some of these actors that you know growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But you've had some big names, too. You had Shia LaBeouf. You've had Christina Romero. You have Hilary Duff, who's come from these. JT. Justin Timberlake. There's a lot of people.
JT.
Hey, I pulled one. Even Britney Spears came from Disney Channel, buddy. But... she was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Wasn't Ryan Gosling in the Mickey Mouse Club?
Yes, he was.
There's also dropping passes in Remember the Titans.
I would say my favorite's Christina Aguilera because she can.
Oh, that's right. Christina Aguilera is another one. She's a genie in a bottle.
I'm a genie in a bottle.
You gotta rub me the right way.
And I want to say, they promoted some female, actresses and singers also through from the Disney Channel. So, I have some Demi Lovato and, our Jonas Brothers, of course, our pop cultural phenomenons. Selena Gomez was another one of mine. So there you go.
We got a lot of people from this. So again, fans, these are our personal lists. So let us know. But I'll go in number 5 for another big actress who came out of this, Miss Keke Palmer. I'm going with Jump In, and this is a boxing double Dutch film. I enjoy this film. It's one of those films that I love the music in it more. It's kind of like, a boxer trying to find his way. He's always been grown up by or taught by his father to be the next big boxer. He wants golden gloves, so on and so forth. But he also finds another love in jump rope, but not just jump rope, double Dutch. And there's competitions and everything that he has to choose either between boxing and make his dad happy or go into double Dutching, which is something he enjoys. So, and it's also to the girl that he enjoys. Well, the main guy, he's played by Corbin Bleu. The main woman is Keke Palmer. So it's fun to watch these guys kind of grow into something. It's pretty much a great story to teach kids that don't just do things that because your parents want you to. Do something that you enjoy and learn from it. And then go for your dreams. And that is something like he still does boxing, but he does that. And he doesn't have to fight with his father about this. You know, it's fun to watch. It's a great, I love the music in it. Corbin Blue, if you guys don't know, is from High School Musical. He is Chad Bentforth, or whatever you want to call him in High School Musical. And he's also in a Hallmark film. So I don't want to hear that anymore. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, how he got the job at Hallmark. They're like, oh, what else have you done? Oh, I used to do Disney Channel movies. They're like, oh, you're good.
You're down. You can sing.
Dude, you could start today if you'd like.
Well, technically, like almost every Disney star has to be able to have that trifecta nowadays. You know, they got to act, they got to sing, they got to look good, all that fun
that
stuff.
soap opera feel to it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So they got to be able to be branded nowadays, right?
I can't dance though. I'm too fat to dance. Okay, I've got that.
Nobody is too fat to dance. If you can shake it and move it right now like this, and you're, you know, I can table dance. You know what I mean? Car dance. You can just move your arms. It's whatever.
I'm like the whitest guy dancing. Okay, I got 2 left feet. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, jump into my number 5. So we'll go to Angelina for her number.
2 left feet.
I'm surprised you're right, because I like when you said jump in, because double dutching, you think I would have actually liked it or watched it more, because I was totally into I can double dutch. I'm not gonna lie. I can double dutch. If you guys can turtle ropes, I will be able to double dutch. For my number 5, I actually did a Selena Gomez. Okay, this is, I feel like, you know, she was part of the Wizards of Waverly Place, the series, and then they actually had the Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie. So this was kind of, I felt almost like the ending of that TV series. So I think it was kind of a good, you know, the movie, right? So it had to do with, of course, that mom and daughter dynamics. Okay, she's 16, like all us teenagers, they know everything more than parents do. And so she gets, you know, kind of a little bit upset with the mama, which is Maria Barrera, which I love her as the mom, that they kind of get into it. And again, because they're wizards, they have powers and wishes or whatnot. So Selena, of course, wishes that, hey, I don't want you as my mom, which is pretty much what every teenage or female says, I don't want you as my mom to their mom. So that is so relatable right there. And hey, I wish you and my dad never met, kind of a thing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my oldest daughter too. She wishes that her dad and I never met, you know, and what would happen if you didn't meet, right? Where things go. So she gets into this, you know, they're at this like tropical, almost like Hawaii type thing, right? They have this she makes this wish, and so the wish comes true, so they start fading if they don't hurry up and find, you know, the stone to get everything back together and get their powers back together. So that was that, you know, that feel good, but it was more of that family again. Hey, I do want to be a part of this family. I do love you, mom, dad, for whatever way you are, and you treat me, kind of a thing. So of course that's the family feel good, you know, of a Hallmark movie, right? It's the same aspect of it here, right? They have the cool, you know, yeah, tropical, you're in Hawaii, all that fun feel, and the magic of the wizards with their little spells that, you know, kind of remind you of Bewitched a little bit, you know, with the little nose there here. But I would say that one's my number 5, and I'm a Selena Gomez fan, so I would say that was one of my movies for her that I liked.
Well, I would love to bring up Maria Canals Barrera too. She is actually from the Justice League, so that's how I know her.
Really?
Yeah, so she's from the cartoon. She's Hawkgirl.
She's Hawkgirl?
She is.
That's her voice. I was wondering. See, I knew I recognized the voice.
You wouldn't think that, because she does have a Latin tense to her words, but Hawkgirl is very monotone. Like she's straight up. And so when I looked at it, I was like, there's no way she is Hawkgirl. And I actually got to meet her about a few years ago.
That's so cool.
And I got her to sign something for me for Hawkgirl. So cool. I was like, I never knew you talked for Hawkgirl. She goes, trust me, I get that a lot. But if you like to, they do a podcast, David, the guy who plays the dad, and the one that plays Alex Russo's friend.
Yes.
They actually have a podcast going over every episode. So they actually do behind the scenes if they remember things from everything.
That's cool. And I do like David DeLuise. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him as the dad too. So yeah, I like the cast. The cast is really good. With David Henry is another one, and little JT Austin. But yeah, that was a good cast, and I really liked the show. It was a really good feel. And I thought maybe watching Wizards of Waverly Place would intrigue me to go watch Harry Potter, but unfortunately, it didn't.
It's 10 times better. It came from the Hallmark for teens. It's better.
No Harry Potter.
Daniel Radcliffe when you got Selena Gomez. Okay, who needs them? Come on. Who needs Emma Watson? You got David Henry playing a sarcastic role for that.
I know.
But all right, Pat, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. It's not. It was one of those kind of last minute changes I made to my list, but at the end of the day, I think I was, when I was thinking about it and making my list too, I think this is kind of the last chronological Disney movie for me, or Disney Channel movie for me that that I watched or got into, because I think I was at that stage of where I was kind of growing out of these movies a little bit and going on to different.
Out of Hallmark for teens and going into
absolutely. I was out of that phase, but I think this was the last movie that got me. It's a good story. I like Eddie. He's he's on a baseball team where he loves baseball. He's coached by his dad, but he also really likes food. He's in a culinary class at a school. I like at the end, I like the cameo from Bobby Flay making in there. I don't think that gets talked about a lot too.
That's my favorite period. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was when Bobby Flay really started to get big, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had his own show on Food Network. That's what I used to watch. I loved Cook. So anytime I had a chance, I would watch Bobby Flay or Rachel Ray. And that's
gotcha.
I learned how to cook.
Alden Brown stuff's pretty good too.
I used to like watching Jida as well, the Italian cooker on there. But
Giada. Yeah. Jida.
But I had a crush on it too.
Mr. Emerald.
Emerald.
Oh, what's it? Mario Batali?
Mario Batali.
Yeah, Mario. I like Mario Batali. He was pretty good.
I like Jida, but I also had a crush on her too. So anytime she's on TV,
she's pretty. She's pretty. Rachel Ray, I really couldn't get into her voice sometimes for raspiness she'd throw in, but she was a good cook, and I like sometimes her quick shows. She would give you those quick tips on how to make things. So that I would try to take into it. But I am a big, I'll watch the Iron Chef, the Top Chef, the Junior Chef kids. Yeah. And when I see those Junior Chef kids, I'm over here like, was I supposed to teach my kids to be like this? Because they should be.
You were supposed to be this good of a cook. Exactly. You weren't supposed to sit here and watch Hallmark for teenagers. You were supposed to go.
And you didn't learn how to cook.
Go watch Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off now.
Exactly, right?
That's a teenage movie you should have been watching.
That's a culinary masterpiece, dude.
What's your number 4, Brandon? What's your number 4?
So my number 4 is based off a true story. And I know I've heard Pat give me crap for this in the past. I don't care. I enjoy this film. It's called Double Team. Now, if you guys don't know what Double Team is, this is kind of a true story about 2 sisters who are basketball players that try to be the best person on the team, and they have to become big name people in the WNBA. One playing for the Sacramento Monarchs, rest in peace, because they no longer exist, which sucks, and the Los Angeles Sparks was the other team. So, of course, the 2 California rivals. This is just a fun movie. I know Pat judges me hard on this movie. You know what, Pat? F off. No, I'm just
no, I mean, it's just the ending. I mean, it's just so bad. It is so bad.
That's the purpose of this list anyway. These are
all because Claude Van Damme's in it? Is it him? Is it him?
I'm gonna pull up the Rotten Tomatoes on this.
No, so it's don't get confused with the John Van or Van Damme.
No, John Van, that's who I get confused with.
Yeah, and Dennis Rodman. No, this is totally different.
Okay. See, that would be better.
Yeah. Sorry, we couldn't spoil you with John Van Damme.
Good choice for Disney.
I'm watching this teenage movie. If he's in it, I was like, I missed the movie with him in it.
That doesn't fall into the Hallmark for Teens session. No, I'm just messing. You imagine if he was in a
What?
movie like that? We would all sit and be like, "What's wrong with this?" So, no, this is a fun movie. I like basketball. It's one of my favorite movies still to watch. I can sit there and watch it. The big name actor out of this is Nick Searcy. If you guys don't know who this is, I don't blame you.
Well,
But
look, come on.
still, Nick Searcy is in Moneyball. He plays a small role in that. He is in a lot of big movies that we know and love.
How does this movie have 57% on Rotten Tomatoes? There's no way.
Hey, it's better than a lot of movies that you like, buddy. So,
I don't believe that.
but I love this movie. It's a fun one. I used to watch this as a kid. Grew me into basketball a little bit and got me into playing a little bit more. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And then Space Jam is what put me at the top. Like, yeah, I'm playing basketball, and I sucked, but it still worked out. I got average 6 points a game. I know that's not tons, but hey, I got something on the board. So anyway, yeah, Double Team's one of my favorites. I will still put it up there, and I say screw Pat. This is my list.
Well,
Anyway.
I think you gave me a great segue for my number 4. So my number 4 is also a basketball movie as well, but it is a musical. And you do have now an awesome Mr. Zac Efron, and all the great movies. He came right afterwards, like Neighbors, and it's probably
Baywatch.
the way different Baywatch than when he first started out, with High School Musical, of course. So to me, honestly, this was like, I feel like the introduction back to almost like a Grease type of feel again for the new teenage Hallmark fans that don't want to watch Grease with their old timer parents or get into it as much. So this was, I think, kind of that segue for us and to get into the music, because this was also, I want to say, the era where even the choreographer or whatnot was also working with Michael Jackson and doing some of his, tour things. So the choreograph on High School Musical and everything was just, it makes it feel like it's not too musically because of the choreograph and the dancing and the scenes. So you still get that movie vibe into it. So I think they portrayed it very well. Vanessa Hudgens came from that, which is awesome. So you have a lot of stars that came up from High School Musical, and I think that just kind of started that 2000 era with all of these, actors getting into the play. Ashley Tisdale was another big one as well. So she's, moved on and become into, more of her acting career. Everything kind of started with the High School Musical. So of course, to me, the original is always better than number 2. I'll mention it, but I'm still down for the original High School Musical.
No pun intended, but bet on it, and that's from High School too.
and I like the storyline, because the storyline kind of has that conflict with that teenage drama in regards to that stereotype of, Zac Efron couldn't be a basketball player and a singer. He couldn't be in that drama. He couldn't be in that on the stage performing. That's a geek thing, or that's a nerdy thing. That's the stigmatism versus a basketball, co-star, and he has the look and the skills, and he's Mr. All-Star American boy. You don't go singing, but of course you have that Grease factor where it's almost like that summer love. He falls for a chick who's all about it, and then boom, he ends up having this freaking magical voice, and now he's in conflicts. So again, kind of giving that preppy teenage vibe, but now giving it more into the dominant role of the male character. Where he's in that conflict where coaches, you're a man, you're not supposed to be singing, you're supposed to be playing ball type thing. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of liked about it. And again, you have a great cast of musical talent, and I really did like High School Musical. That we watched it like forever, all the time, saying everything almost.
You got a good point though, because when you watch High School Musical 2, it actually fits. It's not like a forced song, like, oh shit, here comes another song kind of thing. But it's one of those things like when you hear them sing, they're on stage. Or there's only a couple songs where you go, okay, oh, why do we need to have a breakout song during practice? Like, we don't need that. But like most of the time you hear them sing, they're always on stage or they're doing something that
related.
Okay, yeah. Like,
I mean, how can you have so many people bouncing the basketball in sync, making a dance skit move? You know what I mean? That's freaking, and you can't
That's talent.
really throw a hoop shot, play,
That's CGI. CGI'd.
You know what I mean? The only time I ever did a cool ass shot was in 6th grade. I was wearing a dress and pump heels and straight up from halfway court. You know, I got told I can't make it. I don't know what I did, but I ended up doing it. And everybody was like, and I was like, what the hell?
1 in a million.
I just make that shot in the dress and heels? Hell yeah.
I won't do that again. But fun fact too, the dad in I'm bringing up Hallmark again. The dad in the High School Musical, he's also in Hallmark movies. So I'm putting it out there. He's in it. So
they do swing in that way,
yeah,
you know. And I think
you.
even Ashley Tisdale has done a few Hallmark movies herself as well.
Yeah.
You know, so they kind of go there.
Thank
All
you
right, Pat B, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is a childhood favorite of mine because whenever it was coming on to the Disney Channel, I was always prepared to watch it. I was excited. It's Luck of the Irish, or The Luck of the Irish. This is a good movie. I know a lot of people probably don't like it. I definitely, like any Disney Channel movie has its flaws. It's not, it's a Hallmark. It's a Hallmark for teenagers.
It's a Hallmark for teenagers.
They're not going to be enjoyable for everyone.
If you want to be Irish, then I would like the movie.
So
it's a pretty like I have it as my honorable because I did watch this a lot, and I am part Irish, so I can say that.
Okay.
But even then, it's kind of one of those. It's bad, but it makes you laugh bad. Like it makes you have a good time, laugh. Yeah, and I think that's what I love about Luck of the Irish. It is one.
Yeah,
you have that final game where it's like the funniest, stupidest basketball game. Like I will put this right now: the Luck of the Irish basketball game at the end of the game was better than Space Jam 2's game, where we didn't even know what happened in the game. Oh. So I'm putting it out there. But Luck of the Irish, I enjoyed it. It was a fun story. I just couldn't put it on my list. It was hard.
I like Henry Gibson, who plays the Leprechaun. He's a legendary actor. He's in a lot of stuff. He's in Wedding Crashers. Yeah. I mean, he's the priest in Wedding Crashers.
Michael J. Fox reminiscence of his movie where Michael J. Fox becomes a werewolf in a basketball shootout. What's that movie with Michael?
Oh, Teen Wolf.
And we're talking about Teen Hallmark. So this is kind of similar to Teen. That's why I couldn't get into it because he turns into a leprechaun. I'm like, that's Teen Wolf. It's a remake of freaking Teen Wolf. And a lot of these movies are remakes, and I can't say anything because people are so creative anymore and they don't know what other storylines to make.
Hey, I like Teen Wolf. I like Michael J. Fox.
So I like Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox, way better. All right, number 3, Brandon. What's your number 3?
So I'm gonna admit right now, this movie actually inspired me to do some things in high school, not drugs, kids. But it made me go into a military program. I'm going with Hilary Duff and Christina Romero's Cadet Kelly. I enjoyed this film. I think this was a fun film to watch. It's if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, military program, we're talking about JRTC. I was in JRTC for 4 years in high school. I enjoyed doing the program. It was fun, entertaining. And this is the movie kind of got me into it. I enjoyed this movie because it kind of put a person who always had things handed to her. And now Gary Cole, who plays the commander of the school or the program, is now her father-in-law or stepfather. So now he goes, well, you're going to join the school. You're going to be taught to do this. And sorry if I butchered the name. It's Christy Carlson Romano. Not only that, there are other big name actors. Shawn Ashmore is in this film. Amy Garcia is in this film. There is more actors in this film than I think anything on my list. I'll put it out there right now. Well, maybe my number 2 has a big name actress in it. But Cadet Kelly is a fun story about a woman who's taken out of her comfort zone, taken to a military academy, put into something totally different. And actually those last scenes, what kind of got me into the program itself. And seeing them march, seeing them spin the rifles, doing everything. It was fun. And that's what got me when I found out my high school had that, I joined. And literally, I remember my commander coming up to me and goes, why did you join this program? Because I watched Cadet Kelly and I enjoyed it. I even said it, didn't care. And it's just a fun movie. This is probably the only movie you will get me to ever hear me say, I like Hilary Duff in a movie. Okay.
You know what? I like Hillary Duff. We've been a Hillary Duff fan since Lizzie McGuire. That's what made us a Hillary Duff fan
Yeah.
from her TV series.
Yes.
You know, I loved her, and these are for her Lizzie McGuire movie, but she also did a Cinderella story as well. So I liked her. You know, honestly, she was probably just before Miley Cyrus kind of came into play, or kind of that competition with Miley at that
She
time
was
frame,
right before, right?
or just she was right before.
Yeah, she was
Exactly.
like right before because she was kind of in that Even Stevens era
Yes,
of
and I remember
Disney.
Even Stevens, yes, and that was kind of one of the ones I almost thought about, picking two for Even Stevens, because I remember, and those again, that era is when my kids started watching these. And Lizzie, I think she's been wholesome, whatnot. You have seen her probably on some, for sure, Hallmark movies. She has been on.
Well, her sister for sure, but
You know what I mean? And and Cadet Kelly, I liked it too, because again, like you said, it kind of opened up again that females were allowed to be in the JROTC, and you don't really get a lot of callings for females to be into that. So I think that was a good kind of reminder again, because then the girls again sometimes need that motivation, right? You don't see it again until the Katy Perry movie Roar, where she's in there kind of trying to be that military thing, but Lizzie kind of doing the Cadet Kelly kind of puts that focus. And I think I want to say I started seeing more girls want to be in JROTC and joining because of her in that retrospect. So that was a positive there. And you're right. It shows again that because girls again are always focused on the fashion and how to look and whatnot. Here she had to learn to get dirty. And I can relate to that, because I feel like me growing up always Latin, Mexican, I was always having to wear the piñata dresses, and my hair had to always be nice and up and hella braids. And I could not, oh my God, can't wait till that 9 o'clock midnight came so I can just take my hair stuff down. But I couldn't get my dress dirty. I couldn't go outside and play. I wasn't allowed to be with the boys, because you have to be pretty at all time, picture ready, just whatever.
Mhm.
And so for her to go through that change and then have to kind of readapt was a nice again. And again, it's just that version of boys and girls. You know what I mean? It's not always for boys to go to JROTC. Girls can do it too. So I like that. And anything regarding the military, I'm a big supporter for the military. So.
And I think for her too, it also taught her how to lead. And I think that was another thing that we don't see a lot. Like Jennifer, who's played by Christy Romano, is a leader. She is a leader of this platoon. And Kelly's now got to learn this. But two things I want to bring up. The two big actors in this film is Gary Cole, which anybody does not know is the father of Ricky Bobby. And on top of it, Sean Ashmore.
I love Gary Coleman. He's awesome.
I like Ricky Bobby.
But Sean Ashmore, who plays Iceman in X2. And he has a twin brother who was in Smallville. So both actors, Sean Ashmore, this was, I believe, after X2, which was a pretty big movie. It's X-Men. Angie, you should know that movie because that introduced the Phoenix.
I know the movies. Again, I'm not always big on the actors and stuff, but yes, you're right. That's what I'm saying. I know sometimes there's a lot of familiar. I'm like, oh yes.
The guy who plays the main guy in the film, like Kelly's kind of love interest, that is Iceman in X-Men movie. So that's why I said, and then his twin brother plays in Smallville. So they're both actors, but Sean is the bigger one out of the two. So yeah, I enjoy this movie, but let's go to Angie for her number 3.
Well, again, like I said, this was going to be all girly, right? So Raven Simone. Big name right there, Ms. Raven. That's totally Raven came out, right?
So Raven.
That's so Raven.
In the future,
right?
I can see.
So for
That's
me,
so
I was a cheetah girl. I was a cheetah girl mama. I'm a cheetah
Forgot
girl.
about the cheetah
So
girls.
the cheetah girls, yes, the cheetah girls came out in 2003. It's a group of girls kind of coming together as a group. So I kind of feel like this was before Beyonce and Destiny's Child got together to kind of showcase again that teeny bopper. And of course, it's always about a talent show, kind of reminds you of Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? Even they're always competing on a talent show. Kind of just again, how the girls have to work together and either, hey, work together and try to win a talent show, or they got so good that now they have the R&B producer wanting to try to make them into a recording group. And now they have that conflict amongst the team and how they come together as a girls and the team to still become, the cheetah girls. So I liked it. It was really good. Again, like I said, Raven Simone comes out of it. You have Adrienne Balan. I believe that's how I say her name. But I also liked part 2. I'm not going to lie. I have to mention part 2 in Spain. Again, that Latin part of me. I love that one because that one had to do with more the Latin feel. as well. And then, they introduced another Latin. I can't remember her name. I'm really bad at names, my bad, but it was really good. I like the Cheetah Girls. I think it was fun. It was entertaining. And it just came, during that musical fun era after High School Musical, as well. So
I agree with you. I think the second one was better than the first. And I think the first set standards, but the second one, I like the music. I think it
I
was
do like the music, the costumes, and I love the feel of it because it's in Spain. And honestly, that's on my bucket list to go see Spain. And I just felt like that one was a little bit more memorable. And you have great actresses in there too that kind of help support, you know what I mean? So Raven Simone's mama was scary, but she's a scary actress.
Who plays her mom in the movie you're talking about?
Yeah, it's isn't it like Angela Bassett is her mom?
think
Oh,
so.
Angela Bassett's her mom.
Let me take a look. I think so.
I think that's her mom. I think that's
look
her name,
here.
right?
I'm actually gonna go look it up right now.
She plays Tina
Yeah.
I
Turner.
think it is. I forget about that. It's
Angela
been a
Bassett.
long time since I've watched Cheetah Girls.
Plays Raven Simone's mom, I believe that's her name.
Dude, Angela Bassett's a goat.
Actually, it was not Lynn
No, who was it?
Whitfield.
On part 2?
Let me check part 2.
Check part 2.
That's part 1.
Yeah, I want to say I think we had a different mama in part 2. Because she came out, and that's why I liked it even more too. Because I was torn for number 3 to put Cheetah Girls number 1 or part 2, but you always feel like you have to kind of.
I would not put number 3 anywhere on my list.
Oh no, 3. No, I gave up on 3.
3 was bad. It was Lynn Whitfield still.
It was still her. Okay.
Yeah,
Then I get her
she looks similar to.
She looks similar. That's what it was. I was like, I know she reminds me. I go, who is it? But oh no, yeah. But even her looks were freaking scary in the movie. I'm like, her eyes, the mama's eyes.
It's like
all mom's eyes should look scary.
The next thing she's gonna do the rock eye, all of a sudden got that eyebrow up.
Yeah, but you're right. I really like part 2, but again, I like the singing and the costumes and stuff in Spain. And Spain one was probably what I would say probably my favorite more than the Cheetah Girls number 1, just for that reason.
That's crazy that they filmed those movies in Spain, or they have scenes that are in Spain.
The first one wasn't. The second one was.
The second one was in Spain.
The second one was in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
The first one was in New York or stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. It was it's supposed to be set in those realms.
I gotcha.
So, but all right, Pat.
So,
what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a deep cut for a lot of people. This was one I discovered where I didn't know it was really technically a Disney Channel original movie. And then once I found that out, I'm like, man, I think I got to put this on my list because this didn't come on very often on the channel. It seemed like very rarely when I was growing up. It is The Paper Brigade from 1996. Kind of like a short summary about what it is this kid they move from a city, move into this town, and he kind of meets this girl at school who he kind of falls in love with, I guess that teenage love, so to speak. Anyway, long story short, they supposed to get concert tickets to go. He's going to take this girl on a date to a concert. Well, he can't afford them, so the only way to afford the tickets is joining the local paper route, and he joins with the regulars of the normal crew that does it. So along that, and I think this is kind of like the antagonist of the movie is one of the neighbors, I should say, that's on their route, and he's played by Robert Englund, which if you're not familiar with who Robert Englund is,
that's Freddy Krueger.
He's Freddy Krueger. Which is crazy because he's not in a lot of movies. I think the success that he had from being Freddy Krueger is enough in its own feat, but I think
he scares everybody. As soon as you say you're from Freddy Krueger, who the heck really he's scared?
Well, yeah, and then you're putting
it,
yeah.
Seriously. I mean, he's the one that gave Wolverine the claws.
But fun fact before we continue on too, you realize Robert Englund, there was an interview with him. Do you realize he's responsible for actually getting Mark Hamill to play Luke Skywalker?
Oh, really?
Is he really?
So they were actually roommates. And what happened was he went to, I think it wasn't to play Luke, but it was for Han. Because originally Harrison Ford was just there to test with them, and then they ended up giving it to him. And so Robert Englund went in, and he's like, yeah, I don't think of the role, but maybe you should go for it. And they were roommates. So Mark Hamill went and did the casting or not rehearsal, but I can't remember the name of how you would say it. Pretty much went there to try out
The
for the role.
reading, like
Yeah,
the reading. I
and
think they do like a reading.
yeah, and they loved him. And then that's hence why he got the role. And so it's actually fun to kind of see that. And they did an interview, it's on Comic Book Men. He went to visit the store and he actually talked about it. And it was actually kind of interesting to hear. Like, it's like, I never knew that. So, but yeah, he's Robert Englund is just a weird one in this movie because the rest of them are kind of like nobodies.
You got me. Well, you got me intrigued on the Paper Brigade that they're going to a concert. This is back in 1996. So who was like? Was it like a
Could be a
rock
banger. It
concert?
could be a banger of a concert. You know, there's a lot of options, a lot of talent. I think in that pool of things. You know, I mean, it could be anyone. It could be Boys to Men. I mean,
Ooh.
I don't know, but
1996.
who could Disney afford?
Right?
Who could Disney afford?
During
I
that
guess
time,
to play a
1990s.
cameo as being a band. I don't.
What was it? Menudo would be another one. You know, they can maybe afford.
Oh
Menudo. See, I got Angie to laugh on that one.
Oh
That's
my
cool.
god, a menudo! I can't even believe it.
Menudo.
Ricky's on Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin. You know.
Ricky Martin.
You guys are living the Viva
It's 98
Loca.
degrees. Remember, 98 degrees already had to deal with.
96. I'm like in sync was barely coming. What?
It is 98 degrees, isn't it?
8 degrees?
I think so. 98 degrees because Nick Lachey.
High five.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That checks out.
Boy bands.
Well, you got to remember too, they already had a contract with Disney because who they sing one of the songs with in Mulan? They sang with Stevie Wonder. True to Yourself is 98 degrees and Stevie Wonder.
You mentioned Mulan. I just think Christina because she sang in.
That's like the best song of the movie, Reflection.
Yeah, Christina.
Absolutely.
The Donny Osmond is the best.
I'll make a man out of you. No.
Let's get down to business.
This isn't no country, man. You're living in Nashville, buddy, or near it. So come on, man.
You know, I think I've developed that twang a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you did,
I've lived here for about a year and a half now, and just slowly morphs in. I'm joking.
Predator games, they're always doing that.
But yeah,
we're on our top two now. So here we
are on our top two.
We're on our top two now, Brandon. Go for it.
I'll go over my number 5 or my number 2. I almost said number 5. And I am going with a movie with the mother of the best princess in all movies, Miss Carrie Fisher, is in this film. That is Miss Debbie Reynolds, and that is Halloween Town. Yes, if you don't know that, Patrick, Debbie Reynolds is Carrie Fisher's mother.
I don't know why when you said Carrie Fisher, I was like, is he talking about Drop Dead Fred?
No,
I'm like, no, Drop Dead Fred's not
Fisher
Disney.
is Princess Leia.
I know, I get it now.
And I enjoy Debbie Reynolds and Halloween Town. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I like Debbie Reynolds. She's a good actress.
She is the big actress in this film. Of course, you have Judith Hogue too, which if you guys don't know, that's in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, April O'Neil. Everybody loves her in that movie too. I enjoy this movie. It's a fun, like I always used to be scared of this film because as a kid, this came out in 99. I was scared out of my mind. It's because seeing these monsters, I'm like, oh, I'm 4 years old, 5 years old at this point. So yeah, I was petrified of monsters. Petrified of monsters, horror movies, anything.
I thought this was like a PG for monsters this is like, that preteen, Disney Channel movies. So it wasn't like too out there, but it just, it kept it for that audience. So it wasn't, I didn't think it was that scary, Brandon.
Well, remember, I was 4.
But you're 4 or 5, so yeah.
So I was a little bit more scared. But now growing up, I love them. It's a fun little witty movie. It's an adventurous movie that you would think like all just the puns like, oh, you need a vampire thing, and where you get it from? The dentist. And then there's the dentist. You have the taxi driver that you love. There's so many good scenes in this film.
Yes.
I just love. Kimberly J. Brown as Marnie is perfect. When they recast it for Sarah Paxton, I went, what was wrong with you? And I'll never watch these movies ever again. This is why I classify as Hallmark for teens, because it's terrible. But this movie is just fun to watch. There's really, if anybody hates this movie, you are not American, because this is a perfect watch for Halloween. It's one of those movies like you always have traditions to watch for Christmas. This is a tradition for Halloween. I always watch this for Halloween, and I'm not a Halloween guy.
See, and for me, I would have to throw in that honorable mention for Twitches for Halloween because I
Yeah.
like Twitches. When Twitches came out to me, that was again with the twins, the Tamara and Tia Mowry. And I like Twitches. So Twitches was a good kind of shout out for the again, kind of the sisters are still playing that same sibling role. But when you mentioned Halloween, that's the one I like for Halloween that I always remember is Twitches.
And that's a good one too. I remember my family used to watch that too. I didn't. I stayed away from that, but that was also during the time where that movie came out, and I kind of got out of it because I was like, I want to watch my Justice League cartoons. Screw Disney Channel. I'm going to Justice League or superheroes or watching more stuff that I enjoy. And at that point, I think I remember watching.
I got it.
I became a nerd. Okay, slowly.
You mentioned Fairly Odd Parents earlier, so I was like,
Yeah,
I know.
You're right.
Sometimes it was that competition between your Nickelodeon and your Disney every now and then.
I became a Nickelodeon kid.
Sometimes you were kind of going over there,
SpongeBob for life. No, just messing. Anyway, no, this is just a fun one. I enjoy Halloween Town. It's a great movie. It's spurted to a franchise. We'll go to Angie for her number 2.
Well, it's kind of funny that I'm looking at my list. Like, well, mine sounds like pretty much all freaking musicals. But again, that was that era in the 2000s. That's when they were starting to come back out again.
Every single movie.
Exactly. But these to me are where the big, stars came from right now that, relates. And we're still playing their music. We're still listening to their music. And so right here for me, this was totally the era of Nick Jonas, Kevin Jonas, the Jonas Brothers, right? I am a big Jonas Brothers fan. I love them. And so when they came out with Camp Rock, and with Demi Lovato playing there, that was like, her introduction too. So we really liked Camp Rock. We fell in love. But for me, I like part 2. I just felt like the final jam was just more fun. And plus it said it was final. So this was it. They weren't supposed to make any more because the Jonas are busy. Demi's busy. They weren't going to be together anymore. You know what I mean? So you kind of wanted to watch it, which was more fun. It was more of a competition to be on TV and to kind of save the whole camp thing. So I kind of like the feel of how it came off from part 1, where part 1 was, again, almost like that little Cinderella story where she didn't have enough money to join, but you also have the mama from Wizards of Waverly Place, Maria, playing in Camp Rock. So she plays the mama, here in Camp Rock too with Demi Lovato. So that was kind of nice to kind of see that engagement. So again, I'm a Jonas fan, so I had to go for Camp Rock because I feel like this again, promoted their stardom.
Who's your favorite Jonas brother? I have to ask now.
It's gonna be Nick.
I'm a Nick fan. Nick's got better songs.
He does.
He's not cuter to me,
No, yeah. Oh no, actually, my nephew. I have my nephew Gabe. Shout out to Mr. Gabe, but. Yeah, I always go, oh my God, he's my little Nick, because he looks just like Nick Jonas. I kid you not. Nick, so I love my Mijo. I go, oh, Mijo's just like my Nick. Yeah, he's my little Nick Jonas. But like I said, I like the line. I like the story time. It's fun. Again, it's a good time feel. It kind of makes you want to feel like, how come there isn't more camps like this for kids?
I'll send my kid off for that for 2 months.
It's almost like it reminds you of like the School of Rock feeling. And I think that's what it was, because you came wanting more from like School of Rock, type thing. So Camp Rock to me was kind of almost like that a little bit, Of course, it does not compare to School of Rock, with
Jack Black.
Thank you. I was going to say, you guys know, right? Because I know you guys have watched School of Rock. Yeah, so Jack Black is, freaking awesome, type and totally a character on his own. So from that to come to Camp Rock, yeah, it's different, big time. But I still like the fact that, again, it's engaging schools, the kids, the music, trying to get them in to do something positive versus, they don't have a lot of outlets right now to do. So, I
love how you still compare it to a Nickelodeon film, because it's also a Nickelodeon film. I love it. I enjoy that movie. When you were thinking School of Rock, I was thinking Schoolhouse Rock for a reason.
Oh yeah.
So that's a Disney.
Yeah.
I was thinking, are they going to break out and sing Burbs? Burbs.
Conjunction junction. What's your function?
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And
there you go. What's yours, Patrick? What's your number 2?
My number 2 is a movie that honestly probably shouldn't be a Disney movie, but it is. And I don't know how they got away with it for how terrifying it is, but it's Don't Look Under the Bed. Um, you should look up. Don't look under the bed, Boogeyman, and just
No.
get a good image on that right there.
No, that's why I don't think. And when I saw that too in the title, I'm like, this is really a Disney movie.
Hey,
Yes.
well, they made Hunchback of Notre Dame. Okay, nobody thought that was a Disney.
That one, and that needs to be remade. I'm
Yes, I
sorry.
agree.
I would love to see a new version of Quagmire.
Why didn't they make that a live
honestly,
action instead of worrying about
Mhm.
ruining Mulan or anything
But
like
the
that?
Under the
Ruining
Bed thing-
Mulan.
They did. They ruined Mulan. Why not make that a live action? I would love to see Josh Gad as Quasimodo. I think
Mhm.
that would be a perfect casting for
Yeah,
Quasimodo.
totally good. The Gypsies era, I like that. But the Under the Bed thing and the title, I mean, it just right
I
there.
love about the thing I love about this movie is it's very, very psychological for a Disney Channel movie. Like it's I don't know, man. It's kid friendly, don't get me wrong, but it's very dark for being a Disney Channel movie. You know, the imaginary character he's their friend. Well, he's kind of their friend, and then he's kind of the boogeyman. It's a weird situation. But no, just growing up, whenever I watched this movie, I didn't want to watch this. It's weird. I knew I would have nightmares if I watched it, but I still watched it anyway. And then every time I would get
Yeah.
nightmares. So it was just like a guilty.
Are you trying to
like
tell me you had a porn moment in the beginning? You're like, oh, I don't want to watch this. And then you did. And you're like, I can't watch this right now. Turn it off.
Yeah,
And then they gave you a Glacius moment, like, oh, yeah, I'm done. You know, and all of a sudden you walk out of the.
No, but it's just because, like I said, that rendition of the boogeyman or whatever they did there, it is frightening. It is terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be willing to put that up against cosmetic looks for another, or any other kind of either like horror movie villain or anything like that. Because for Disney, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, props
I
to
mean,
them.
honestly, I think to me it just reminded me, it was like a lot of sci-fi. I don't know, maybe that's why I couldn't really get into it, but I don't think any of my kids they no.
I mean, it like I said, I think people should check it out because of just how different of a movie it is compared to the rest of the Disney Channel movies. Um, just the way it's shot, the way it lays out. The opening shot of it's pretty cool too because it's kind of like a street. Like they had this before drones too, so they must have had
Which is
like
funny
actually moving cameras through an
Yeah.
actual town and kind of it's really cool.
because it
But
kind of gives you like a little feel of the character, like looking like Indiana Jones, but yet like the Inspector Gadget with everything he's carrying. You're right. The imagery is a little bit different, and it's just funny that you see. I saw right now like the blocks and the toys, so there's still like some little bit Disney in there, but it looks like puppetry type version. So you're right.
yeah,
It is very interesting on how they made it.
uh-huh. Yeah,
So
and
you're right. It doesn't give you like is this really a Disney movie? You know,
I
and
I,
it
I
kind of
blame
reminds me of, like Willy Wonka a little bit. I don't know. It's just it is fun. It looks weird.
you just made. I'm gonna blame Angie for getting the Inspector Gadget song stuck in my head for some reason now.
That's what he looks like that's what he looks like because he's wearing like that trench coat. So it kind of gives you a first almost like a Indiana Jones geeky nerdy kid thing. But then when he has all that lighting and stuff where they're going through and looking at this, stuff, it reminded me of Inspector Gadget.
You could say Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. We
No,
got
they did not
I
look
don't
like
think
that.
Inspector Gadget gets enough love. I know
Does not.
I know Brandon's not the biggest
Matthew.
Matthew Broderick fan,
I
so
can watch Matthew Broderick more, but I'm just not like. But see, for me, I'm not a Ferris Bueller fan. I know a lot of people love that movie.
I finally saw that one.
You never saw Ferris Bueller.
I finally
great.
saw it.
It's a John Hughes movie.
Exactly. I had always heard about it. It's always referenced in other movies,
Bueller.
but I've never have actually finally seen it. And then I finally saw it, and I was like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
I like it.
I think I watched it shortly after Deadpool came out, the first one, because there's a scene at the end where it kind of references Ferris Bueller.
Because everybody references it.
It's like,
yeah, and now I get it. So now it's a pretty fun.
And it's usually those cut scenes where he's like taking the shower and then he's talking to the camera.
Get out. This movie's over.
Yes, it is the
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick movie. So now I understand how that made him.
I think where I lost interest with Matthew Broderick was Deck the Halls with him and Danny DeVito. That's where I just went, this is stupid. I will never watch another Broderick film ever again, because he's
Oh
the
my
one
gosh.
that just came out with Jennifer Lawrence too, where Jennifer
Yeah.
Lawrence is
But
she's
he likes those
being
corny roles, though. I feel like that fits him, though. Again, that's why I kind of like that Inspector Gadget, because it kind of fits his demeanor.
Yeah, because they had a different guy come in for Inspector Gadget too, and it was terrible. It was a dude from McHale's
Mhm.
PD. He plays in a lot of odd roles.
I like the villain in Inspector Gadget. I don't know what his name is.
I can't remember who played him, but Claw was his name.
Claw, yeah. I like him. He's good.
Yeah. So
But
all right, Brendan, we are on your number one.
Yeah. So before we go to number ones, were there any honorable mentions? Movies that almost made your list, but yet didn't. I'll rifle mine off. I have two other than Luck of the Irish. I have Up, Up and Away, which of course it's a superhero movie. Of course I'm gonna like it. And another kind of a mystery thriller one, Phantom of the Megaplex. That has Mickey Rooney in it. If you guys don't know who Mickey Rooney is, what's wrong with you? But he is, you guys don't, that's for all I could tell for fans nowadays, he is one of the old men in Night at the Museum. He is one of the old guys. He's, you cracking wives, that's Mickey Rooney. Anybody that, I love him. He's a fun actor to watch. But Phantom in the Megaplex, it's just kind of, it's in a theater, which I love. But not only that, it's always about this phantom that they think is haunting the place. So now it's a mystery to find him. So it's a fun one. I enjoy it. But yeah, that's mine. Angie, did you have any honorables that almost made your list, but just fell short?
Well, you're a Debbie Reynolds fan, and the one that almost made my list was Radio Rebel, because she comes out in that one. And I like that one too. That one was a good one. My other one was the Princess Protection Program. And again, these two were not musicals. So the Princess Protection Program, I forgot about that one, has actually Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez together. And they play. So I kind of like that one, because again, they kind of switch the roles of real life versus the princessy type thing. So it kind of gives you that. So I would say those were probably my other two that I was kind of in. Even Stevens, I remember that one, but and I think I always liked him because of his curly hair, Mr. Charlotte LaBouffe, yes. So I would say those would probably be my ones that almost made the list for me, or I debated on them.
I love the whole Even Stevens one. That almost made my list too. But I love that movie just because I love the whole, they're in a survivor moment. And then you have Tim Meadows as the host. That's what makes me laugh.
And I liked Shiloh and Holes too, so.
But I love that. And then you have Dave Coulier from Full House. It's got you, at the end of it all. Love it.
Dave Coulier, yes.
So, what about you, Pat?
Halloween Town 2, I think, is definitely one on my list. I like the aspect of the time traveling part of it. It's just cool. It's different. There was Up and Away that you said, Brandon. I think is that the one with the superhero family?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one. That one's also kind of just missed the list too.
Herman Hemsley in it. Yeah.
Yes. Very good. I like it. The guy that played I think Kevin Connolly's in it. Not Kevin Connolly. He's in Entourage.
I know who you're talking about, but yeah, Kevin Connolly.
Is it Kevin Connolly? Yeah.
Kevin Connolly.
And then I think my last one, I think kind of I'm surprised no one ever maybe not, I'm not surprised. I just had a crush on her when I was a kid. It's Xenon in the 21st Century.
I knew it. I knew you were
somehow. Just the first one.
I just like the fact that there was finally a Disney movie with the letter Z. Xenon.
Hey, we got one with a Z, fans.
It actually exists.
Yeah. There are movies that exist. You imagine those people who compete in competitions. There's no movie named by the Z. I'm like, yep, exactly. Xenon, but yeah, let's go to our number ones. I'm gonna mention right now, my number one's already been mentioned on Patrick's list. I'm going with Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. This is by far one of my favorite movies of all time. Still is to this day. It's about a boy who, again, it's just like Jump It. His dad wants him to be a big baseball star, but he finds his love in the kitchen. And I'm kind of the same way. I love baseball. Baseball is one of my favorite sports of all time. But I always had my passion for food. and I love to cook. I learned how to cook from my grandma, so I can really resonate with this movie a little bit. But the difference is that he learns on his own. I actually learned from my grandma. So, it's a fun movie. There are actors in there like Taylor Ball, Orlando Brown's in this movie. Who else is in this one? Rose McLiver, which anybody does not know. I believe she's in Ghosts. I believe she was in iZombie as well. So there's some roles that she's in. This and Bobby Flay. How can you not like Bobby Flay at this point? Bobby Flay is the host of the competition near the end of the movie. And I enjoy it. It's just a fun way, even with his friends, how his friends look at him and just go, "You lost your love." But then they kind of realize that, you know what, you can't judge your friend's decisions because he loves something different. If you're friends, you're going to be friends with them. If you're not, you're not. It's just a cute movie. It really is. It's a really good movie from the heart. I love how the teacher is the one trying to inspire him more to go cook because she realizes that he can be a good cook. Like her going to their parents' house and be like, "Hey, he should go compete in this competition that I'm trying to help put together." It's just fun to kind of see those moments and you enjoy them. But yeah, um, this is a great movie. I enjoy this movie. I was kind of sad that it ranked lower on Pat's list, um, but I enjoy it. This has been one of them that I think this was like one of my really last ones I enjoyed watching. And then after that, it just kind of fell for me and I just said no more. And I stopped watching. But yeah, that is my list. So I will go over and turn it over to Angie to go over her number one.
Okay, so like I said, number ones have been pretty much musicals, so this one is just right up there too. But what I love about this one was because this has to do with all the evil villains of Disney. So you know what it is. And I love that they said that, right? Even evil villains have kids. So yes, Descendants. Okay, so I feel like honestly that was a great, like, oh my god, Disney princesses and Disney villains have kids. You're getting an introduction to, there's more beyond them besides what we have seen. So I really like that aspect of them introducing new characters, new actors and whatnot that came into play. So I really liked Descendants. I like that they focused on, just the five top villains, which of course you have your the evil queen, Maleficent, Cruella, and Jafar. Those four that they just said, hey, out of all the villains, these are like a top four, And I love that each one has a kid that's very similar to them. So of course, my favorite is Mal, and that's probably because I do have a daughter named Mallison, and we call her Mal, and we called her Mal Mal. Then all of a sudden we see Mal, we're like, oh my god, and it's like you, right? Maleficent, and Maleficent is one of my favorite villains of all time. So I love the evil queen. So I like, Kristen Chenoweth that plays one of the evil queen's mamas in there. She plays on so many
She's
other.
Maleficent in this movie.
She's Maleficent, exactly. And and she plays on other movies too, which is so it's to see her in that role, and when you see her blonde and in other movies, it's kind of like it's a big difference, right? So no, I liked her, and of course, we had Cameron Boyce that unfortunately, passed away, but he did really good in playing,
Cruella de Vil's
son Carlos. Yes.
Yeah. I watched the
I
first
liked it.
Yeah, I watched the first one.
Uh-huh.
And when Kristen Chenoweth came on, I was like, I'm done. I'm done watching. Because I am not a fan of her. I don't know why when she sings, it's annoying. I don't know why. I watched her in RV. Okay. That's a really big stretch for Robin Williams films. And she's in this film with Jeff Daniels. She is the wife of Jeff Daniels in this film. And her voice got so annoying to me. I was just like, I will never watch that movie ever again because of her. But anytime I
And
see
that's what's hard, and that's the voice. And you're right. And like I said, sometimes because you have that image of them in different movies, it's hard to want to see them portray some of these characters because you're like, is this really a role for them? You know what I mean? To really be able to portray this character. So, I give it to her for trying. Like I said, to me, mine is Mal, which is Miss
right.
yes, Ms. Dove Cameron. Yes.
Yep. Dove
And I like her. And so
And
I
she's
like how
awesome.
she really leads the role, in the Descendants. So you know, the second one, I seen the part two too, where it's that competition again, and it's always that even the evil people want to be good, but they still have to do what their evil parents are telling them to do.
And I
You
think that's the
know,
purpose I
the
like the
conflict.
film too. And I didn't like the whole movie, but what I liked was that all the good people's kids were actually kind of mean. Like they were rude. They were
They were
jerky.
snobby, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they were the and you
yeah.
have people like Mal and Carlos who all they want to do is be good. Because they're
Hmm.
bad people or supposed to be villains, it doesn't mean they have to be bad people.
No, it's
And
like, and I like that they said, you know, it's the next generation of villains. So you kind of see a little softer side of the villains where they're still trying to be bad, but not as bad, right? Or they just make bad look good.
They make bad look good.
You know, being their best at being the worst. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would say that's my number one is Descendants.
and I love how you brought up another Kenny Ortega film, the same
Yes.
guy who did High School Musical
Exactly.
directing and
Kenny
choreographed.
Ortega, I'm telling you, he was about to do Michael Jackson's "This Is It," you know, and actually he did do even Michael Jackson's "This Is It" movie, you know, whatnot too. So yeah, Mr.
Forgot about that. That was supposed to
Mhm,
come out
mhm.
before. Did it come out after he died?
I
It came
think
out
it
after
did for a
he
while.
did it after that because he was preparing for his tour, and then
Yeah,
because
that's
it never
right.
got to it, that's what they showed it at the movie theaters was like him getting ready for that tour as this is,
Yeah.
you know, this is it. Yes. So that was my number one. So Patrick B, I am curious to know what is yours.
Mine is a legendary movie in the Disney Channel universe. Brandon's number two, I believe. I think it
Number
was
two.
number two.
Number two.
But today it is my number one. It is Halloween Town. In my opinion, Halloween Town is the greatest Disney Channel movie ever made. Uh, it's just iconic. It's legendary. Every year, I would be willing to wager hundreds of thousands, if not maybe a million or so of people around Halloween watch this movie. And I think I'm guilty of that myself.
I am too.
So, um,
I'm
it's
not
just
gonna lie, I've
iconic.
watched it.
It's got a great cast. It's got a great story behind it. You know, the family is a family of witches who, you know, they're kind of passing down the torch to the younger generation in Marnie. Um, you know, like you were saying too, Brandon, earlier, the little nuances, you know, the skeleton being, you know, his character, just everything kind of flows so well in this movie,
Mhm.
where especially for the time that it was made in, it's a perfect 90s movie. Like 100%. Like this movie just oozes everything 90s about it. Everything. It's just so original. Debbie Reynolds, obviously, as the grandma, is chef's kiss. I mean, can't
Would you
really
say
draw
you
that up
like
any
it
better.
better than? I'm sorry. Would you say you like it better than Hocus Pocus?
Yes,
Yeah,
easily. I hate
I don't even have to. Hocus
okay.
Pocus is good. I don't hate it as much as Brandon does.
I hate
It's
it.
just not. It's just not my thing.
That's
I
a
don't
spell
think.
on you. And now you're mine. I hate
I
it.
can't stand Bette Midler. Bette Midler, I think her name is in that movie.
Yes.
It makes me
Uh-huh.
sick. Okay, I know those movie lines. I just don't care for
Kathy Najamy's good in it. She's also good in Sister Act.
Mhm.
I'm a big Sister Act fan.
Yeah.
it. Matthew Broderick's wife is in that movie for crying out loud.
Yeah,
With Jessica
true,
Parker.
true.
Sad because I don't see her in a role like
Okay,
that.
well, I like that you said, you know, you feel like Halloween Town because I kind of feel like Halloween Town helped develop Hocus Pocus. I think that was like for me, or kind of gave them like that
Yeah.
type of feel. That's why to me, I'm like with you. I feel like Halloween Town is more of that original type of Halloween good feel movie
Hmm.
where Hocus Pocus is just a little bit.
Well, I think Halloween Town also, not only that, it just kind of set like a
Mhm.
certain standard for Disney Channel movies. Like I feel like it raised the bar as far as like how good these movies can be. Now, obviously there were Disney Channel, I think, was well established with the movies that came out prior to this. I think this came out in 98.
It's
So there was
98.
movies made before this that were on Disney Channel. Yeah. So, I mean, I just think this movie really set the standard. I mean, there's a reason why this movie is played still on Disney Channel, you know, after 25 years now. Oh, going on 26.
Yeah.
So, that I think that speaks volumes. So, my number one is Halloween Town. I've always loved this movie. If it's on TV. I mean, it's on Disney Plus now, so you can watch it at any time. I love streaming services for that reason, but put all these great movies at your fingertips, you know. So
Exactly.
don't tempt me for a good time.
Hey, no, well, thank you guys because you guys actually did, bring up some movies again that I had not watched, had not heard of before, or maybe caught a glimpse of it, and also to kind of get that feel for more of that. Again, if I would have had a teenage son, I probably would have watched more of the movies that you guys suggested versus all the female, girly stuff from the
I
Disney
had
Channel.
Cadet Kelly on my list. I don't even want to hear it. I had Cadet Kelly and Double Team on my list.
I know. I was like, oh, the Double Dutch one. I was like, that's right. I remember that one. Okay. Anything with Double Dutch. Mm-hmm.
No, but we
No,
want
but good choices, good movies. Thank you guys. Those are good recommendations too. Kind of watch now with the newer, I would say with the new generation now that's coming into play to kind of reminisce about these older movies. And now that Disney's making, of course, more new originals, and the time frame for these Gen Xers and these millennials. So
now we got
these are still some of the classics, right? That kind of helped elevate and pivot them into these other movie realms.
So we want to thank Angie for coming on. I know it was last minute and we asked you to come on. You're like
very last minute. Yeah, no, thank you for accommodating.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. It was fun. It was very fun and educational.
And let us know in the comments, fans, what Hallmark for teen movies, or Disney Channel movies, do you enjoy? We want to hear those comments. We want to hear what your top 5s are. But check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Just for Flicks. But I'm going to turn it over to Patty B to finish off this podcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for everything. This was a great episode. I loved it. This is a great little topic to talk about. And thank you, Angie, and thank you, Mr. B-Dog, for always joining me. Yeah, like he said, follow all socials. I'm Patty B. And remember, we do it just for flicks. Thank you, guys.